I know this video is a bit late, roughly about a week late, but due to YouTube being YouTube and me receiving a strike for listening to copyrighted music on stream when I didn't even realize or remember the fact that I was streaming on YouTube and Twitch at the same time, I wasn't able to upload anything for a week, so here we are. Alright, we need... way too aggressive. Way too aggressive. Gotta do a bit of a more chill intro there. Alright! We need to talk! Anyway, yeah, we need to talk. So Gaijin, right? There's this company that, considering there are so many people out there that are just saying Russian bias does not exist. Gaijin was certainly that Russian bias, even though they are, and proof is in the pudding. Because what happened a couple days ago? Just a couple days ago, quite recently, matter of fact. Yes. Just, on the, to be more specific, on the 1st of April. What happened? What was it? Huh? What was it? What was it?
1. Booster ignition. And lift off.
And you would think that's a massive milestone. We're going back to the moon. It's insane. It's a massive milestone, right? It's insane. It's f***ing crazy. So what did Gaijin choose to do for that event? Nothing. Not a f***ing thing. Did we get a decal of Artemis 2 in the game? No, we didn't. But what have they chosen to do instead of that? Because, you know, the whole world was watching for the launch. It was quite big. What Gaijin chose to do instead was this. They chose to commemorate the 65 years since the first human space flight. Guess who did that? Oh, USSR. Right, of course. I just find it funny how the US, in cooperation with other countries, obviously, because obviously also a Canadian was on that ship going back to the moon to orbit it, that they chose to completely ignore that, and now 10 days later they chose to pick this. I mean, this, I agree, is also marginally, you know, something that could be commemorated, but such a random year. 65 years? Why is that? That's so random. 65 years. 65. Why couldn't it be, oh, I don't know, 60? Did they do anything when it was 60 years? I should have probably checked. Let me check. Let's see, what happened in April in terms of War Thunder, like, news? Let's take a look. On a release date, April 1st, we had Future Technology, a quote-unquote regular event, which was a craft unique vehicles, whatever. It was a crafting event, okay? You play the game, you craft, whatever. Irrelevant. After that, we had, on April 1st, we had Warfare 2077, which was the April Fool's event, whatever. And then, after that, we had on April 1st, we had another April Fool's Day event called Tailspin. Did they mention anything about the first man in space on the 60 years anniversary? Nope. Not a thing. And also, you can tell I'm not full of shit, and I'm not pulling this out of my ass, because the next update is on the 12th of May, and that is Paddle Pass. Before that, we were in March. So literally, there were 3 things in April, and none of them were had to do anything. They had nothing to do with space or anything. So don't you think it's kind of funny that when the US and NASA specifically is launching a rocket to space to go effectively orbit the moon to show that we are still capable of doing it, and I'm fairly certain Artemis 3 will actually go on the moon, that Gaijin completely ignores it because it's something to do with America, and instead, quite a few days later, they chose to commemorate something that has an anniversary date of 65 years, and they did nothing during the 60 years. Because, you see, I'm not a numbers man, but I would think rounded numbers are way more important than odd numbers. As in, like, if it's 60, if it's 50, 60, 70, 80 are way more important than 65 or 55 or 75. Nobody really cares about those. It's always the rounded number. If there's someone's birthday, way more emphasis is put on the birthday if it's 30 years old or 40 years old instead of 35 or 45. Gaijin did nothing when it was the 60-year anniversary. But all of a sudden, when it's 65, they did it. You know why they did it? Because the US decided to launch a rocket to the moon and completely ignored that and pushed their USSR agenda because they are Russian bias. Proof is in the pudding, people. Oh, and of course, you're able to now get these 2 decals as well of this emblem and this rover. really, who cares? Really doesn't matter to me whatsoever. I'm not gonna go for them, but I think it's low-key just disrespectful as hell what Gaijin is doing to literally every other nation that has nothing to do with Russia specifically. China and Russia are like they're like little babies. Everything else can go f itself. By the way, just want to point out, turret ring and turret basket are not connected to each other.